years old.
My name Cade. I'm 7 years old.
Do you want to talk about that day?
We went for the MRI and they told us it would be about 30 to 40 minutes, and about 50 to 60 minutes into the MRI we started to get nervous. Several doctors and other nurses walked into the room and gave us the news that our son had a brain tumor.
I do remember being pulled into a room with several oncologists, just going through all the possible side effects that Cade would have throughout his treatment plan. I think the one that really was just upset me the most was hearing that he may not be able to have children of his own someday. All of the other side effects, I mean, we heard loss of hair, the throwing up, the mouth sores, all of those things you hear, and you don't realize how bad they're going to be until he's experiencing them.
One of the things that surprised us the most was the fact that there's very little funding for pediatric cancer research compared to adult cancer research.
It's severely underfunded. Most of the drugs the chemotherapy drugs that they're using on our kids are meant for adults. So they're very toxic, which is why with Cade's treatment, he had to have all of his treatment in the hospital. He had to clear it before he was able to leave the hospital. We had to wear gloves when we were changing his diapers, so we weren't affected by it. But yet this was what was going through Cade's body. He sees his physical scars, and he asks about them. He said, he's curious to see the scar on his back of his head, and he's got one on his port, one on his belly, all over, and he sees them. Thankfully, doesn't remember that time period in his life. However, he has the shunt, and he can feel that, and he knows that affects him because we don't allow him to play tackle football, which is something he really wanted to do. He does know that he has a speech delay, and he's very aware of that as well. And that is one of his side effects from the location of the tumor and just, the chemotherapy at such a young age. The goal is always to survivorship, and that continues to be the goal. But thankfully, the percentage of children that are surviving has increased greatly over the years, and that's the number one priority. When your child has cancer, you want them to survive. Nothing else is really on your radar at the time. And then as that becomes a reality for many parents, thankfully, you begin to see all the late and the long-term side effects. So now I think a lot of the research is starting to change, and that's extremely important because as the research is developing, it's great that we're focusing more on how to make it so not only that they survive, but they survive and live a normal life into adulthood.